بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد قال رب إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك رب شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله ربي رضيا. Continuing with Surah Maryam, yesterday we discussed that Allah Ta'ala mentions the incident of Zakariyya alayhi salam and how Zakariyya alayhi salam made dua to Allah إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا, that he silently, secretly called upon his Rabb, called upon his Lord. We mentioned the importance of making dua secretly, quietly, quiet communication with Allah while you are driving. Sometimes rather than thinking of everything else, communicate with Allah. Your heart should communicate with Allah. Your mind should be in communication with Allah. What was the communication? قَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي وَهَنَ الْعَظْمُ مِنِّي. He said, "Oh my Rabb, my bones have weakened. مِنِّي وَاشْتَعَلَ الرَّأْسُ شَيْبًا, and my hair has turned white." Today, what is the reason? Anbiya alayhi salam's hair had turned white in doing the effort of deen. Today we need to question ourselves, why do our hairs turn white? Is it because of the wife? Or is it because of the business? Or is it because of the children? One of our ustads used to say in English, why is sun called a sun? Why is sun called a sun in English? Because obviously one is the sun that is outside in the skies, and the other one is your own sun. So he says there's a reason for that. Because when he reaches the point of zawal, the zenith, right on top of your head, he makes you sweat. So in the same way, is it the children that's giving us white hair, or is it the business life that is giving us white hair? It is the dunya that is giving us white hair, or is it the akhirat that is giving us white hair? The Prophet ﷺ used to say, "Shayyabatni Surah Hud." One of the Sahaba told Rasulullah that now we can see a lot of white hair on your head. It was only about 48 to 60 white hair the Prophet ﷺ had. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Shayyabatni Surah Hud," that the meaning of Surah Hud has made me old. So Zakariyya alayhi salam said, "Washta'ala al-ra'su shayba," that my hair has turned white. Even my hair is becoming white. What is the reason? There's other reasons for that. Because of old age, I never have been unfortunate in my prayers to you, or I never have been deprived in my du'as to you. So Zakariyya alayhi salam have not yet asked the question. When we make dua, "Oh Allah, give me this, give me this, give me this." But this is how Anbiya alayhi salam used to enjoy communicating with Allah. When you enjoy communication with Allah, then you lengthen the communication, you lengthen the story. In the same way, someone goes to a rich person or a king, and you want to ask them something, in Urdu what they say, "Tamanna mukhtasar si hai, magar tamheed tulani," that my wish is small, but in revealing that wish, I will mention the entire background. I will mention the history of what I am going through, etc. So Anbiya alayhi salam used to enjoy this communication. Rabbi inni wahana al-'azm, oh my Rabb, my bones have become weakened. My hair has turned white because of old age. وَلَمْ أَكُمْ بِدُعَاءِ رَبِّكَ شَقِيًّا بِدُعَاءِ رَبِّ شَقِيًّا, and I have never been deprived in my dua to you. وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ وَرَائِي, and I fear mawali, I fear my cousins after me. مِنْ وَرَائِي وَكَانَتِ امْرَأَتِي عَاقِرًا, and my wife is barren. فَهَبْ لِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا, despite all this, I am old and my wife is barren. فَهَبْ لِي, give me, مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا, from your mercy, a wali, Wali can mean a friend also, and wali means a son also, or an heir. Give me an inheritor, someone who will inherit me after. So Zakaria alayhi salam is asking, Inni khiftul mawali. So Mawla in Arabic has different meanings. One of the meanings of Mawla is master, one of the meanings of Mawla is a servant, and one of the meanings of Mawla is also means cousin brothers. Banu Ammi. Mufassirin have written that it is mentioned that my cousin brothers or my cousin's children, I fear they taking after me, because obviously after a noble person passes away, Zakaria alayhi salam, he was a murshid as well, he was a nabi as well, he was looking after the audience in Masjid al-Aqsa as well. So after he passes away, who will take the reins of leadership, succession? Who will succeed me after? So it is mentioned that from the cousins of Zakaria alayhi salam, or from the children of his cousins, they were those that were not on the right path. So Zakaria alayhi salam could have made dua that Allah grant them hidayat, bring them onto the right path and then let them succeed me. But yet Zakaria alayhi salam asked for his own heir, for his own child. So the answer to this in Bayanul Quran, Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi rahmatullah alayhi makes mention that the answer to this is that when someone already have a bad reputation in the community, someone is already known for something in the community, and thereafter he becomes good, is very well and good, but would people listen to his message? Would people take heed from his message? They might not listen to them. They think, oh, I know you, when you were small you were doing this, when you were a youth you were doing this. That is why to look after your young days is very, very important. Shabab, what you say? Shabab in the Arabic language is right up till the age of 30. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah says, if you're 30, you're still a shabab, you're still a youth. If you're 30 plus, then now you're moving towards the middle age. Most of us are moving towards till 40, 45, 50. After 50, one of our stars used to say, after 40 you are in bonus, and after 60 you are now doing the reserve tank, what they say, 60 and above. So Allah Ta'ala, so Zakaria alayhi salam said, oh Allah, I fear their abode, meaning will they look after my dini efforts, will they look after their activities of nubuwwat, etc. Min wara'i, after me, wa kanat imra'ati aqira, and my wife is barren, fahabli min ladunka waliya, therefore grant me from your treasures, min ladunka, from your mercy, waliya, and heir. So Anbiya alayhi salam used to continuously make dua. Nuh alayhi salam also made dua, Rabbi inni maghlubun fantasir. After all the effort, someone who is in distress, is in difficulty, he should make this dua. So if your wife's troubling you at home, make Rabbi inni maghlubun fantasir. One brother told me, Maulana, why in etikaf? There must be some trouble at home. I said, no, alhamdulillah, everything is okay. He says, no, only you in etikaf, I don't see anyone else in etikaf. I said, soon they're all coming. Very soon, inshallah. Mohsin? Soon, inshallah. Rabbi inni maghlubun fantasir. When you are in stress and difficulty, recite this dua. However, you should do what is in your capability. Thereafter, ask Allah Ta'ala for help as well. Some of us, what we do is we don't do anything and we want help. So Allah Ta'ala also wants to see your efforts. Nuh alayhi salam made effort for 950 years, and then he made the dua that now Allah, I have been overpowered by my enemies, fantasir, therefore help me. Musa alayhi salam made dua, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. Allah Ta'ala opened all the doors for him. This is a dua that Musa alayhi salam made when he left the palace of Fir'aun and he entered into Midian. He sat under a tree and there was no one to help him, no one to assist him. Obviously he fled from a land where people were willing to kill him, or people were willing to take him to the court of Pharaoh. So Musa alayhi salam made this dua, and how Allah Ta'ala opened his doors. Allah Ta'ala gave him a job as well. Allah Ta'ala gave him a wife, and what a good home Allah Ta'ala gave him shelter in of Shu'aib alayhi salam. And the daughter of Shuaib alayhi salam became the wife of Musa alayhi salam. And thereafter on the return, Allah Ta'ala gave him nubuwwat. Not only that, Allah Ta'ala made his brother a Nabi as well. So ulama say a person who is in difficulty, if he recites this dua, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. So if you are jobless, you get your job as well. If you are homeless, you'll get a home as well. And if you are wifeless, you'll get a wife as well, inshallah ta'ala. وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ. Another dua, Rabbi أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Ayyub alayhi salam made this dua. Nevertheless, Anbiya alayhi salam, Allah ta'ala made mention of the du'as in the Quran. Why? So that we too can engage ourselves in dua when we are in need. وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرة فهب لي من لدنك وليا. From this also we come to know that asking Allah Ta'ala for children is not against zuhud, is not against piety. The more children you have, the better it is. Umar radiallahu anhu used to say in his old age that I desire that Allah Ta'ala give me one more child so that through me, Allah Ta'ala can bring one more mu'min and one more believer upon earth, and one more person that can recite the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So, having more children is also good, and desiring to a person who is not married and is desirous to get married, that is also not against piety and nobility. It's not against zuhud. Rather, Allah Ta'ala makes mention as His favor upon وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. It is from the signs of Allah Ta'ala that He's created from amongst you spouses. He's created from amongst you pairs, which Allah Ta'ala has made it mention as a favor upon. So if Allah Ta'ala has made mention of a favor, and a person is desirous to get married, or a person is attracted to his own spouse, obviously no one else, then it is not against zuhud, it is not against nobility, it is not against impiety. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked that who is the most beloved to you, what did he say? Aisha radiallahu anha. That Aisha radiallahu anha is the most beloved to me. So يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ وَاجْعَلْهُ رَبِّ رَضِيًّا. What will be his, why do I need this child? That yarithuni, that he can succeed me, min ali Yaqub, and succeed the family of Yaqub alayhi salam. Again, why did Zakariyya alayhi salam mention that he will also succeed the family of Yaqub alayhi salam? Because we know from the children of Yaqub alayhi salam, there were many prophets. So all those qualities and those nobilities of those prophets of Allah, you inculcated in this child so that he can lead. And he will take after me as well. So it comes in a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Al-Anbiya lam yuwarrithu dirhaman wala dinara. The Anbiya alayhi salam don't leave behind wealth that they inherit from. All the wealth that they leave behind becomes public property. It goes into the Baytul Mal. So what do the children inherit? They would inherit the noble qualities of Anbiya alayhi salam. So he will inherit me in prophethood, meaning Allah make him a prophet. وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ, and all the prophets from the children of Yaqub alayhi salam, O Allah, grant him those qualities as well. وَجَعَلْهُ رَبِّ رَضِيًّا, and O Allah, make him someone beloved to you. This is a dua which we as parents sometimes we don't make. Oh Allah, make the child the coolness of my eyes. Make the child a better businessman. Make a child good and healthy. So we're asking everything else, but we're not asking that, oh Allah, make this child beloved to you. Oh Allah, make this child someone who you like. Make this child someone who will please you and your Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why one of the pious scholars, whenever someone gets a child, he gives them a dua. Then may Allah make this child a coolness of the eyes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So obviously the coolness of the eyes of parents as well, but the coolness of the eyes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it covers everything, because we don't know what the parents want. Sometimes the parents want, the child mustn't come to the masjid and carry on doing business. Sometimes the parents want something else. So from a young age, We want everything for the child, and then when the child becomes older and now we see that he's going on the wrong track, then we realize that now we need to make the dua for piety for him. That Allah make him pious. Rather make dua. Zakariyya alayhi salam made dua even before he was born. That Allah, I want such a child, a child that will be beloved to you, and he will be loving to you. Ya Zakariyya, now here comes the glad tidings. Ya Zakariyya, inna nubashiruka bi ghulam ismuhu Yahya, lam naj'al lahu min qablu samiyya. That, O Zakariyya, we give you glad tidings of a son, ismuhu Yahya, whose name will be Yahya. Lam naj'al lahu min qablu samiyya, and we have not kept such a name before, or we have not given this name to anyone before. This was a unique name that was selected for Yahya alayhi salam. So the glad tidings were given through the medium of the malaika and the angels. فَنَادَتْهُ الْمَلَائِكَ وَهُوَ قَائِمٌ يُصَلِّي فِي الْمِحْرَابِ. Like in Surah Al-Imran, Allah Ta'ala says, فَنَادَتْهُ الْمَلَائِكَ, that the malaika called out to Zakariyya alayhi salam, وَهُوَ يُصَلِّي, while he was performing his salah. In the same way, ulama say that if you want glad tidings and you want your du'as to be accepted, then increase your salah. Increase your nafal ibadat, increase in your salah, and then make dua to Allah Ta'ala. That dua will be accepted. Today, unfortunately, number one is we don't obey Allah. We do all the sinful things, and then at the same time we want the best of things. So how is that dua going to be accepted? Rubba ash'atha aghbara. It comes in a hadith, yamuddu yadayhi ila sama, ya Rabbi, ya Rabbi. There's a person, his hair is disheveled, he doesn't have any his clothes are all tattered. He draws his hands to the skies and he asks from Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, grant me this, grant me this. But Allah Ta'ala says, how can I accept his dua? Why? وَمَطْعَمُهُ حَرَامٌ وَمَشْرَبُهُ حَرَامٌ وَغُذِيَ فِي الْحَرَامِ وَمَلْبَسُهُ حَرَامٌ. That everything from day to night he is doing is all haram. His food is haram, his drink is haram, his clothing that he's earned and he bought those clothing with is haram. How can I accept his dua? So dua needs to be coupled with ita'at. Very, very important. Obedience. If obedience is there and then you make the dua is readily accepted. That is why we have this custom of getting pious people to do dua for us. Why? Because number one is they are in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's not against the sunnah. It is not against because Sahaba radiallahu anhu used to also come and ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for dua. Women used to come to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with their children and used to ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make dua. Obviously, the Prophet's dua is accepted. At the same time, why do we go to pious people to request them to make dua for us? Because they are always in the obedience of Allah. Most of the time, majority of the time, they are in the obedience of Allah. They're not missing their salah like how we do. They're not involved in other sins like how we do. So Allah Ta'ala's mercy is with them, Allah Ta'ala's help and assistance is with them. That is why they say sit in the company of the pious and you will also benefit from some of that piety. Nevertheless, so moving on, Zakariyya alayhi salam asked Allah Ta'ala for an heir, asked Allah Ta'ala for someone to succeed him. And this was also from the sunnah of Anbiya alayhi salam to look forward to carry on the mission. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after him he already had indicated that after me who will carry on? It will be Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu that will take on the reins of Khilafat. And he will. So it should not be that just like one person is doing everything and then once that person is gone, then the whole structure of deen, that entire institute or that madrasa or that organization comes down, goes back to zero. Why? Because there was only one person running everything. It should not be like that. There should always be a system in place that tomorrow if this person is not here, someone else will continue that same effort of deen, because the idea is to progress and advance deen. And that was the concern of Zakariyya alayhi salam. Ya Zakariyya, inna nubashiruka bi ghulam ismuhu Yahya. His name will be Yahya. Yahya, ulama say it means a person, the Arabic terminology, that it means long living, a person that will be living for long. And some say that there is no meaning for it. Yahya is a Hebrew word that Allah Ta'ala had revealed for Yahya alayhi salam. But looking at the Arabic language, This is the closest meaning you can get. لَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ سَمِيًّا. We have not kept this name to anyone before. So Allah Ta'ala had concealed this name from everyone, or from the minds of everyone, until Yahya alayhi salam was born. In the same way, Muhammad, the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, was not given to anyone before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It was only revealed or inspired upon the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, "Sammaytuhu Muhammada liyuhmada bihi fil alam." That I have named him Muhammad so that everyone can praise my grandchild in the entire world. And Allah Ta'ala accepted the dua of his grandfather, and obviously Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became the Nabi. Other names that were concealed were Hassan and Hussein. Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anhuma. These two names were not given to anyone besides the two grandchildren of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before them. After them, obviously everyone kept. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said himself that Allah Ta'ala had concealed these names and kept it hidden from everyone, so that these names can be given to my grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein. That is why sometimes, parents, they come, they say, give us a unique name, something different, something that others, will find it unique. So some people, actually I have heard some scholars, they speak against that. But if you look at the ayat of the Quran, it's actually something that every parent would desire for. Because لَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ سَمِيًّا. Allah Ta'ala himself is saying that we have concealed this name of Anbiya alayhi salam, meaning we gave him a unique name. The Prophet ﷺ also got a unique name. His grandchildren had a unique name. So to have a unique name is not something that a person should condone or look down upon, but the meaning should be good. Sometimes in finding a unique name, we find that the meaning is not right. So what happens? The meaning has an effect on the child. So looking for the name, obviously you can name your Anbiya alayhi salam. The names of Anbiya alayhi salam are encouraged. The names of Sahaba are encouraged. Why? Because those qualities then can transpire or inspire the child. Nevertheless, so Allah Ta'ala says, we have given Zakariyya alayhi salam the glad tidings of a servant, of a son. Ghulam. Ghulam in the Arabic language means son. Ya ghulam inni u'allimuka kalimat. The Prophet said, "Oh my son," meaning speaking to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, that, "Oh my son, I will teach you some words." Ismuhu Yahya lam naj'al lahu min qablu samiyya. قال رب أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا. And he says, "Oh my Lord, how will I have a son? أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا." When my wife is barren, وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا, and I have reached the pinnacle of old age. It is said that Zakariyya alayhi salam, according to different mufassirin, was around 80 to 120 years old when he made this dua. Between 80 to 120 years old, and his wife was also aged. So his wife was old as well as he was old. At the same time, his wife was known to be barren when she was young. So obviously, and out of astonishment, it's not out of despair or out of questioning the power of Allah. It is out of, astonishment, or sometimes, you see a car coming. And it's a fancy car. Like, is that a Ferrari? You're like, no, it's a Mazda. You're like, no, it is. Why are you repeating? Why? Because you know what it is, but that astonishment or that amazement makes you repeat. So in the same way, Zakariyya alayhi salam also repeated that, "Oh Allah, how will I have a son? وَكَانَتْ إِمْرَأَتِي عَاقِرًا." When my wife has become barren, وَقَدْ بَلَغْتُ مِنَ الْكِبَرِ عِتِيًّا, and I have reached the pinnacle of old age. At the same time, from this also we come to know that asking Allah Ta'ala for something that is far-fetched is not something that we should shy away from asking. So it is not against the asbab. For example, "Oh Allah, make me a pilot." Now the child is making dua, "Oh Allah, make me a pilot." Why not? Maybe one day he will become a pilot. "Oh Allah, make me a doctor." The child is making a dua, and now you'd be like, you don't even know your ABC properly, and you want to become a doctor. Why don't you, just ride your bicycle? So no, something to ask Allah Ta'ala for something great. In your mind, it might be something that is far-fetched. "Oh Allah, take me to the moon." Who knows? Maybe one day you will go to the moon. As long as you go alive and you come back alive. But asking Allah Ta'ala for something that is far-fetched in your mind should not deter you from not asking. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala can always give it to you. Like Zakariyya alayhi salam, we knew that I'm old age, I'm 80 to 120 years old. My wife has reached old age. All the doctors have said that she's barren, she can't bear children. But yet I'm still asking, how will Allah Ta'ala give it? That's Allah Ta'ala's choice. So we should continue asking, and this will not go against our taqwa or against our, rather it will increase our iman. If Allah Ta'ala grants it to us, well and good. If Allah Ta'ala don't grant it to us, then it is because of Allah Ta'ala's wisdom. Inshallah, from here we will continue tomorrow, and we will see, how Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala granted this miracle to Zakariyya alayhi salam, and what were the qualities of Yahya alayhi salam, and how Yahya alayhi salam conducted himself as a youth, as a young boy in the community. May Allah Ta'ala grant us all the understanding. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. What time is it start?
5 minutes left. 27 inshallah.
27?
26.
26?
7.
27.
7.
It's Sunday, today.